All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the off day. So, any questions?
Can you update us on Chad Thomas?
Yeah, he's at the hospital just getting further testing, but he's, he's moving all of his extremities, everything, just a precautionary, make sure everything's okay. Anytime something happens like a stinger or anything dealing with any issues like that, you want to be more cautious than anything, and that's what we're doing.
Everybody knows it's a violent game, Freddie, but does that still suck a little life out of the practice environments?
It does, but that's, in our game, that's reality, Sometimes that happens during the course of the game. And mentally, we've got to keep moving forward. So it was, you don't ever want your teammates to, at the end of the day, this is still practice, okay? So you don't want to see your teammate laying there. But again, the protocol from anything like that is sometimes it looks worse than it is. Not to make any light of it, it's a serious nature. But Joe and his staff did everything to protocol to make sure that there was no damage, done after the fact.
Do you know how he was injured?
Yeah, he kind of just got caught on the side of his shoulder, it looked like, but that's what it looked like right now. I've only seen one version of it, so this is a pretty quick turnaround. What you guys are making me do.
Freddie, I got a question about Mayfield's improvements. To use an example of an observation on that, but Tonio just said that he noticed that he struggled a little bit to recognize blitzes early on and got better at that and is better at it now. Could you go cover some of the improvements that we can expect to see in his second year?
Well, I think, from the standpoint of a progression with a quarterback, if you see a blitz is coming, there's a couple different things you can do. You can fix the problem, or you can react to the problem. And giving him the ability or letting him to continue to grow in the fact that he could do either one of them and know what reaction comes off of that is the key. But yeah, I definitely see improvement, and I expect to see improvement tomorrow over today and so on. And then before long, he'll be pretty good at it.
Freddie, was it switch at left tackle late in practice injury or performance? Or
You talking about when Lamb went in for a couple plays? It was just Greg had to redo something with his tape or something on the thumb.
So his thumb's okay then?
Yeah, everything's fine with him. It wasn't even it was just a tape job, whatever. It was nothing.
You brought in Rico Gathers, but before that you brought in a fullback. So how much do you need a blocking specialist in the run game?
We're always looking for better guys. We're always looking to anybody that we bring in, we feel like has an opportunity to help us, whether it be in the run game or the pass game. So that's always important. We're going to run the football, and it's important to have guys that can block.
Is there another tight end other than the fullback who you will try to groom? Is that or something?
All of them. All of them. Oh, in the backfield?
Short yardage block.
Yeah, it depends. We're going to rep all of them at it and see who comes out of the mix. The more versatile you can be, the better off they are as a player, and the better off we are as a team. So, we'll continue to rep a bunch of them.
Would you ever consider putting a defensive lineman back there?
I'm not giving you all my secrets now. I mean, I told you guys last year about the wishbone, you didn't believe me, so why would I tell you now? But yeah, we've got a package with 2 D linemen back there actually, and where they lead and a fullback's carrying the ball. So yeah.
Can you run?
Is it going to be good for you?
Just kidding, Tony. No, he's gonna call my bluff if I end up like that, right?
It's Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to be good for your guys mentally to kind of practice someplace else and go against a different body?
Yeah, I think it's always good to see what else is out there, and this has been a pretty tough camp for these guys. I think it's been kind of a culture shock, but I think they've embraced it. We've got a lot of guys that are willing to pay the price. All right, so we understand that now. A lot of guys have bought in to what we're trying to do. Now it's just a matter of going and seeing what you've got up against someone else. This Wednesday and Thursday is not going to make or break our season, but it's going to give us a little barometer on where we're at from a physical standpoint.
Freddie, when you say it's been a culture shock, did you want to do something to find out how many guys out here were willing to pay the price?
I didn't. Oh, definitely. I said that at the very beginning. But again, our guys, I think, have embraced that. I mean, they've embraced the challenge of keeping the tempo up on a regular basis. At the end of the day, this is the only when you get into the season, you are allowed 1 day a week with pads on. So this is the time that you have to build some of that toughness, and I think they've embraced that from the standpoint of they know this is again, this is a tough game played by tough people. So sometimes you have to look inside yourself and make sure that you're tough, and sometimes you have to demonstrate that to realize that you are. And I think they've embraced all that.
Hey, Freddie, we saw those 2 picks that Colts and Mayfield. So, but what else is he doing to show you that he's going to be a reliable player for you?
Yeah, I think he's getting better. He's not there yet, and I would think he'd be the first to tell you. He's not there yet, but I want him to keep getting better in all areas. He's a good cover guy. That's why he's here, or that's one of the reasons he's here. And then I expect him to be able to stop the run too. At that position, you've got to kind of be a jack of all trades, and that's what we want our linebackers doing.
When you go up to Indy, are there a couple of specific things you're looking to accomplish from that thing?
Not in particular. Just I want to see how we react to going on the road for the first time. It's just simply you're sleeping in a hotel in a different city, and you're playing against different people. You're practicing against different people. That aspect in itself can go a long ways to giving you practice when we travel. We travel the second game of the year, so everything surrounding. I don't have any problem with the competition. I think the competition's going to be there. If it's not, we've got some of the wrong people. But what I am looking forward to is how do we respond to distractions, because you guys have built several distractions, So don't take offense, goodness. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, everybody wants to talk about distractions and expectations. Well, hell, let's see how we do under some distractions.
Are you worried about possible fights? I know that happens when teams practice against each other.
Man, you saw what happened last time, so it doesn't matter to me. Whatever they want to do.
You've been running a lot of goal line offense, and
We don't practice penalties. So if we start practicing penalties, there's consequences. So.
You tried your new big back on a couple of those goal line things today, but is that something, you see teams get to first and goal from the 1 and not score. How tough is it down there to run the ball in?
Well, it's you're like fitting 2 people in a phone booth and seeing who comes out. Sometimes you can't even open the door. Depends on if me and you were in there, you would be able to open the door, right? So, it's tough. I mean, the space gets diminished. Throwing the ball's harder because you don't have to cover about 11 yards instead of whatever else distance you have. But it's definitely hard.
You were trying to see what the new guy can do, the way I was reading it.
I was wanting to see what our new guy could do, and I wanted to see what our offensive line could do, and I wanted to see what our defensive line and linebackers could do, our tight ends could do. Everybody's involved. Some of the onus falls on the quarterback and the running back and whoever's got the ball in their hand. But sometimes, I like to see spots that I could run the ball through, So I'm not running one. You're supposed to laugh at that one, too.
The trend in training camps over the past how many every years has been, not as much time in pads and kind of lighter camps along the way. So what made you sort of think that pads every single day? I mean, is this a you thing, or did you get this from other coaches that you've worked under? Or what?
Well, I've seen other coaches do it that I've worked under, but I don't think there's any other way. To me, it's like a no-brainer, like the game's played in pads. So it's my job to make sure those guys are ready to play the game. So it's my job to understand when we need to take the pads off and get them ready to play the game. I think they were ready to play last week. They will be ready to play this week. I'll have them ready to practice against these guys on Wednesday. So, the game's played in pads. We're going to be physically and mentally tough.
Have you had any complaints from your leadership council at all or anything like that?
I don't have a leadership council. I've got me. You know, that's it.
Freddie,
I don't get into that stuff either.
Freddie.
That's all a facade for excuses to blame other people. Okay?
Talked a
So
lot.
I'll take the blame.
Asked a lot of questions about the right guard spot, but the starting offensive line in general that you expect to put out there week one, how do you feel about that overall group with what you've seen so far?
You know, anytime you're dealing with a group, all right, whether it's a group of receivers, a group of offensive linemen, a group of defensive linemen, you're just always looking for consistency within that group. And I think we're continuing to work on that. But, you know, we still got, 4 weeks left? I think 4 weeks left. I lose track. But I think they're doing a good job right now of just trying to get better every day. And that's the only thing I'm asking is just for them to get better every day.
Freddie,
If that answers your question. I hope it answers.
Freddie, you talked about Mac still getting better at things. Taki, he and him are good friends. I guess what sort of challenges are you placing upon Taki for him to get better?
I want him to keep his emotions in check, and I don't want to diminish who he is. Sometimes he gets in situations where he creates penalties for himself because of his emotion. I want to eliminate that first and foremost. And secondly, I just want him to play him, all right? He's an aggressive, physical guy, and that's what we're looking for. I want him to continue with his eyes. A lot of times linebackers, negative or positive, can be directly correlated with their eyes, a lot like a quarterback. So I want him to continue to see what he sees.
But yeah, you also said not diminish what he is. Like, how do you get him to kind of balance that so he can still?
Well, it's simple. When the whistle blows, you stop. That's it.
Freddie, when you return from Indy, I think you'll only have one available padded practice left for the rest of camp. I think there's a limit, no? 14?
No, I don't think so.
There's not.
I hope not, because we're breaking that rule.
All right. I was going to say.
That was not a joke.
So what I guess I'll say is the majority. Is the mission accomplished yet with the toughness?
Again, I think these guys have embraced, they won't tell you that it's easy, but they've embraced the work. They've embraced the physical nature because those guys have been through games. They've been through a season, most of them have, and they know what it takes, Again, I don't want them worried about the pads. I want them knowing that the football game is played with pads on. I don't want them to know. I told them at the very beginning that the light that they see is a train. It is not at the end of the tunnel. All right. So that's what I want them focused on is today, and that's it. And I think they've done an excellent job of embracing the challenge of that.
Hey Freddie, on this topic, Redwine I saw this thing, he was mic'd up, and it was the first preseason game, and he said, the speed isn't as intense or as fast as I thought it would be, and Njoku was with him, and he said, well, that's because the harder you practice, the easier the game is, and that's what Freddie's kind of done in this camp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
that was the idea of the conversation. Do you think that you will make the games easier by doing this? Is that part of the philosophy?
Well, I think the goal of any training camp is to build toughness, to build a relentless nature in your players. They have to embrace those things, and I think they have. But also, the more lifelike that you can make it, or real that you can make it, of course, it can't do anything other than make the games at least the same, Now, depending on who you're playing and the person you're playing, it could be different. But, yeah, of course. We try everything we do for a reason, and we try to simulate something.
Hey, going back to Tony,
Last one here.
Tony's fullback question. Could you have a roster without a fullback?
Yes, we could.
Maybe.
Definitely.